Hey, what's up? This is Ari from Train Zen. Today I want to talk to you about something that I see that it's kind of a problem with a lot of people, yeah? So athletes and non-athletes, they just don't know it. And they keep asking me that. And I want to go into that question deeply, yeah, and profoundly. And because it's not a simple question, okay? It's a question that demands a lot of thinking and a lot of contemplating. So let's get into it. The question is, how much should I train? Yeah, I got so many people coming to me and telling me, Ari, how much should I train? Should I train 5 times a week, 6, 7? You know, should I train 2 times a day? Should I do this? Should I do that? You know, and a lot of times misconception of that question firstly leads to, in the lighter cases, right, it leads to plateauing, meaning you're stuck. And in the worst cases, it leads to injury, right, overtraining. Or actually, undertraining is also something that is an issue. Undertraining is something that happens with a lot of amateur athletes, right? They want to achieve something, but they train 3 times a week, so they don't know. So it doesn't correlate with what they want. What they do does not correlate. But let's just dive into that matter, okay? So just like off the top of my head, I'm just talking right now. But there is, in order to answer this question, here's what you need to consider. There are 2 questions that you need to ask yourself. First of all is, who are you, or who am I? And the second question is, what are the rules of my game? And I'm going to go deeply into those questions right now. So let's talk about, first of all, what are these questions? So who are you is questioning everything that is relevant to yourself and only to yourself subjectively. Everything that is only up to you and solely up to you. Yeah, and other people do not have any connection to it. What are the rules of my game is actually just the opposite. So all of the things that are connected to your environment as well, and everything that is around you, and everything that is connected to your own objective world, right? Not to the subjective, but to the objective, whatever goes around regardless of you. So let's first get into the first question of who am I? So when you're asking yourself, how much do I need to train? First of all, you want to ask yourself, who the hell are you? That means, what do I want? What is it that I want to get out of training? Who am I? Am I an athlete? Am I a mother? Am I a businessman? Am I both? What level of athlete am I? What level of training do I need to do to get what it is that I want? So I would say even that the first question you need to ask after you ask who am I is, what is my dream? What is it that you want to accomplish in your life, right? If your dream is to bench press 200 kilos, then you already have a better idea what you need to do. And you know that if you need to bench press 200 kilos, you probably won't, like training once a week probably won't be enough for you, right? So first thing to know is to ask yourself, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to achieve by training? The second question you want to ask yourself in terms of what am I is you want to think, what am I capable of, right? So first of all, you need to consider your own physique. So if you have a completely messed up shoulder, backing up to the example of a 200 kilo bench press, if you have a messed up shoulder, you probably need to rehabilitate your shoulder before you go and you do 3 max effort trainings a week for your chest, right? For your bench press. So asking yourself, what are my limitations? That is something that is also important, right? If you have one leg, you probably cannot squat. Maybe you can. A lot of people can, but maybe you can't. right? So you ask yourself, what are my limitations? What is that I can or cannot do right now? And if there is something that you cannot do right now, but you want to do it in the future, you can start planning on, okay, how am I going to do that? How can I build up towards that? Okay? So thinking about what are your injuries, what are your physical problems, yeah? This is also something worth considering when asking, how many times do I want to train a week? I remember a time that my joints were problematic for whatever reason, and I wanted to train 10 times a week. I really did, but I couldn't. So I had to go down and train 2 times a week just so I can rest, you know? And when I say train, I mean actually going to the gym. Yeah, I spend all the time rehabilitating myself. So that is also something you need to consider. How injured are you, or how not injured are you? So another thing that you want to ask yourself when you're asking yourself, who are you, is what do I like to do? What kind of training do I like? And what kind of training do I not like? Because if, for example, all the training that you like is lifting heavy weights, and you only like lifting heavy weights 3 repetitions, 10 sets, you know, you probably shouldn't be doing only that 5 times a week, if that's the only thing you can do, right? Maybe you should do that 3 times a week. Maybe you should do that 2 times a week, because you want to take care of your nervous system and your joints and your muscles and your body. So you want to ask yourself, what are the activities that I like? If you're a person who wants to train 6, 7, 10 times a week, you need to like at least more than at least 2 activities, right? You need to be able to do all kinds of things so your body can recover for some things, yeah? So if my max effort day, I want to push 2 workouts in that day, I can definitely do a max effort weightlifting session, and then I can do a max effort sprinting session. That is possible. But these are 2 different things, right? And if I don't like sprinting and I only like weights, or if I only like weights and if I only like sprinting and I don't like weights, I can't do 2 max effort sessions of the same thing at one day. It will be just completely stupid, right? So we want to ask ourselves, what do we like? Because we want to be able to A, recover, B, variant, and C, just engage in all kinds of movement, right? Because we are also talking about health here. So I want to engage in all types of movement, and I want to be able to fulfill what it is that I want, because everything here connects to what it is that you want as best as possible, right? If your destination is just to be healthy, just, you know, to feel good about yourself, walking around, going up the stairs without breathing heavily and all that, you probably don't even need to train 6 or 7 or 10 times a week, right? 3 times a week would be more than enough for you. 4 times a week is perfect, you know? So again, everything always comes back to, what is my dream? What is it that I want to achieve? How can I achieve it? What keeps me right now physically or mentally from achieving it? If you have a problem right now financially and you need to spend most of your time making money, so or focusing on your career or something like that, and you cannot afford training, or you cannot you don't have time to training, that is also something worth considering. Because if you actually do not have the time to train, and you want to train 6 times a week, and you keep going back and forth with yourself about it, oh, this week I didn't train 6 times as well because I was too busy. This week I didn't do that as well. You're just going to be fed up with yourself, and you're just going to be angry with yourself. So this is another thing to consider in the whole spectrum of what am I, right? Okay, let's go to the second question of, what are the rules of my game? So if what am I is everything that is subjective to me, what are the rules of my game is what are the rules of everything that is around me right now? Meaning, where do I live? What is the weather like? Do I have a gym nearby? Do I have a car? Do I not have a car? Do I have access to good public transport? What is my environment like? These are all kinds of things that you do need to consider when it comes to how many times you want to train a week, right? Let's give some examples. So if you're talking about where it is that you live, yeah, you need to think about where it is that you live in terms of weather. How is the weather where you live? Is there sun? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is there snow? Is it a desert? Because these things that will consider the frequency of your training. If it's a place that has minus 40 degrees all the time and you really want to lift heavy, but you do have joint issues, that might work hard on your joints, especially if the area is very dry and very cold, because these areas are horrible for the joints. I live in Germany, and when it's winter, I do not lift heavy. I do not lift heavy because my joints can't take it, you know? So this is something that you need to consider when it comes to how much you want to train. And also, I would say the quality of the facilities in your place, where it is that you live. For example, if you live outside of the city and you really like lifting weights, but the closest gym is 2 hours away from you, so if you want to train 3 times a week, you need to understand that 4 hours each time, you have 12 hours a week that you go back and forth to the gym, but you want to lift weights. If you have the time, that's great, but if you don't have the time, that is something worth considering, right? So where you live is something very important. Who are my environments? Who are my friends? Do I live in an environment that supports training 6, 7, 10 times a week if I'm an athlete? Does my environment allow it? Do my relationship allow it? Do I have a partner that I need to consider? Do I have kids? Do I have a family that I need to support, right? Not all people can train as much as they want because they have people they need to support or something like this, right? So if you want to spend time with your partner, right, but you want to train a lot, but your partner is a person, and you want to spend a lot of time with your partner, and you have your job, and you have all these things, that is also something worth considering, right? Taking that under consideration is crucial, because a lot of people, they want everything. They want to be able to train 5 times a week. They want to be able to spend time with their partner 7 times a week. They want to be able to be with their kids all day as well, and they want to be able to work, and they want to be able to have a career. But a lot of time, all of this does not really qualify under the 24-hour window that you have in your life if you want to get at least 2 hours of sleep, right? Out of those 24 hours, you probably need 8 hours of sleep if you train hard. So you have, I'm not very good at math, but 16 hours left. Out of those, maybe 2 hours you eat. If you want to spend the next 14 hours simply training, that probably doesn't leave a lot of time for other people, right? So that is something worth considering when you're thinking about the objective experience, the objective world. So consider these things when you want to ask yourself, how many times do I need to train a week? Yeah. Right, so after we delved into who we are, what is it that we want, now it's time to put it all together and think, okay, how many times do I train a week, right? And now you have a more, not complex, but you have a more honest tool and a more thorough tool to handle this question, right? Every time, go back to these 2 questions. Who am I, and what are the rules of my game? And then if you tell yourself, okay, so I would like to be a professional ball player, but the rules of my game is that I don't have money to buy a ball, I don't have any friends to play ball with, and I really couldn't be fucked training 5 times a week to be a good ball player. Then how many times should you train a week to be a good ball player? Kind of, no. So yeah, now that we've discussed these 2 questions, I hope that you have a more profound tool to deal with the question of, hey coach, how many times should I train a week, right? Always ask yourself, who am I? Which means what it is that I want, what it is that I can do, what it is that I can't do, what are my limiting factors, right? And more importantly, what is your dream? And finally, ask yourself, what are the rules of my game? Where do I live? Do I own a car? Am I close to a gym? Do I have time? Is my work environment supporting me? Is my partner supports me? Do I have kids? Do having kids something that allows this dream to happen, right? If your dream is to be a professional athlete, but you have 5 kids, that's probably one is gonna be against the other, right? You cannot support 5 kids and train hard enough to be a professional athlete, at least most people, yeah? So like I said, it always comes to who are you and what are the rules of my game. Those two things, they work together. They always work together. Who am I? What are the rules of my game? Yeah? The question of how many times you need to train a week always comes back to that. Many other questions come back to that. Who am I? What are the rules of my game, right? What is my dream? What I want to do? Okay, so if my dream is to do that, well, who am I? What are the rules of my game? Yeah, it's always changing, and maybe sometimes it's worth changing the rules of your game in order to match the who am I. Sometimes changing the who am I to match the rules of my game is something that needs to be done, right? It is all a matter of what it is that you want. Because if your dream is more important to you than something else, then you will change the rules of the game so that your dream would be achievable. And if the who am I part limits you, so you probably cannot get to where it is that you want to get unless you work with the rules of the game to make that happen. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, thank you for listening to all that, and I hope I helped. I really do. Apart from that, you're more than welcome to contact me personally. I do online coaching now with incredible programs for you guys. Also spiritual guidance along in the training program, something pretty new and refreshing. So if you're interested in that, please hit me up. Don't hesitate. I'll be happy to talk to you. I'll see you soon.